Next, I would like to invite Miss Donna, Scholastic's head teacher, to first share her experience reflection as the teacher from the last year workshop. Then she will announce the details for this year workshop. Welcome, Miss Donna.
Thank you so much, Dr. Julia, for that introduction. And thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. Last year was a really special experience. I recognize some of the students speaking tonight about their success from the workshops that we did this past summer. So as a teacher, it's just giving me so much pride to see all of the students that I worked with this summer just absolutely doing amazing things and being recognized for their hard work. So the workshop over the past summer was so much fun. It's a lot of work for both students and teachers. The teachers, I can speak for our point of view, are putting in a lot of time and effort to read these essays, to discuss the brainstorming process, to go over different concepts for writing, skills, strategies, creativity, remembering that each student has a unique voice. So I think that one of the best features of this workshop and that I got to experience last summer was being able to see all of the individual writers really excel, and they were able to boost their confidence as writers, which is what we hope to replicate this summer. The students that were there were very motivated. They made sure that they were consistently writing their essays on time for their deadlines, and they brought questions to our conferences, which I will get to in a little bit. But students are in charge of their writing, and it's important that they recognize that they're just as experts as the teachers who are helping guide them. And Dr. Julia has already said today, the teachers are there to ask questions and the students are there to come up with the answers. So the teachers are going to guide students with their research skill-based questions and guide the students in their research. So I'll ask students questions and then students will go out and find those answers and bring it back to our conferences and to our classes. And I think that's what creates such phenomenal essays, from poetry to personal narratives to the critical essay. Students are always researching, and you've heard it from our students today. And it makes them autonomous in their writing. And when they're in charge, they feel empowered. And when you feel empowered, you can't be stopped. And that's part of the curriculum at VSA, is that our students are very much in charge of their learning. This also is an extension of their time management abilities, being able to make sure that they meet those deadlines and that they're meeting the criteria when they're submitting those drafts and having those brainstorms and discussions. They come prepared, and that's part of their time management as well. And with that, we're able to really zoom in on the editing aspects that we have in our classes, because students are aware of the content that they've put forward, and now they can go back and they can fine tune it so that they can really hone in on their voice. They can really make sure that they've written to the best of their ability and their skill, and their originality stands out. So our writing program is really set up for student success. It's designed to help our students craft compelling and award-winning pieces, as was seen through the data. We provide a place for students to be creative. And the number one skill, or the number one quality of our students and our winners, is that they're creative. They're not afraid to take risks. They're able to put their ideas down, and we can go back and make sure that those writing skills are implemented, that we're able to discuss and pull specific techniques and ideas and concepts from our lectures. And that's what the award-winning VSA Scholastic program is giving to these students, an opportunity for them to foster their creativity and go back and refine it as experts. And this is done through our 8 workshops as well as the one-to-one conferences. So throughout April through November, we'll have 8 classes. The architecture of voice, emotional precision, writing not about, but from feeling. And I think that a lot of the students today who came in and shared their pieces, Helena stands out to me because I worked with her this past summer, and I worked with her on the piece that she wrote about with her brother. And there was a lot of emotion that went into that essay. So I think that it was super important for her to attend these classes, to recognize the importance of the emotional impact that a writer has on their audience. The subtlety of themes, as Connor had brought up prior, Something that readers are really longing for, especially the Scholastic readers, is being able to read between the lines and see those hidden messages that aren't so hidden or very craftily, developed. Grounding the impossible, time experiments and narrative, being able to play with plot structure and the events that happen. I've had students this past summer experiment with flashbacks or multiple point of views, and it's so much fun to see students have such a good time with this. Um, the power of negative space and poetry. I saw another one of my students here, and we were working on her writing of multiple poems, and each poem she put forward was more powerful than the previous. And she really had such a strong grasp on really conveying those emotions and that negative space and poetry. Writing beyond the page, I saw so many students with such outstanding critical essays this past summer because of the fact that they weren't just picking a topic that was hot in the media or a buzzword. They were picking topics they were passionate about. And I think that transpired from their essay. It came off of the page, essentially, their passion for it, the need for the discussion of these topics. And then lastly, and most importantly, is the art of revision. This course really dives deeply into how students are revising. And this year, we're really zooming in on how students can take the revision process and make it their own, just like their creations of these essays. So they'll be looking at the feedback from our teachers, and they'll be looking at the feedback or discussing the feedback in their conferences, but then they're going to have an active role in creating their own checklists and being able to know exactly what this feedback that's being put on their essays is going to mean in regards to the end result of their essay. So the program prerequisites is that we are looking for students who are self-motivated, who have a love for writing and a love for literature. In order to love writing, it's almost necessary. I say almost necessary because I don't want to make any hasty generalizations, but most people who write love to read. And I think that there is such a strong bond between these two. After the registration process, students are going to receive a VSA prerequisite application to complete. There's two essay prompts that students will be able to choose from that they'll be able to write so it can showcase their creativity and their skills. That will be submitted within 2 weeks after receiving the application. And then something else that's really unique is students will submit a 300 to 400 word response to a Scholastic winning essay. Something that's really important is to be able to look at other writing that has been successful and be able to recognize the skills and strategies within that writing so that students know how they can craft that on their own. The VSA teachers will review these essays and reading responses, but it's important to get those in as soon as possible just because slots are limited. So the students who complete the application process first will be considered first. Obviously, AI is all over the place right now. You can't open Google without it giving you an AI suggestion or an AI response. But there should not be any use of AI technology in any part of the writing process. And that's going to come from brainstorming, organizing, drafting, or even the revision process. Because of the fact that the teachers are so hands-on in the writing process with the students, and we're there, as the students have said, to support you, there's no need to go outside of their own knowledge, their own capability, their own brain, as well as the fact that they have a teacher, a very highly trained and experted teacher to come in and help them. So AI will not be used for any of these. Students should also come prepared to their one-to-one session. Not only does coming prepared mean you've read the feedback from your teacher, but it means that you've also created a step-by-step process for what you're going to do with that feedback. Come to the conferences with questions about feedback, come to the conferences with ideas on what you're going to do and how you're going to implement the feedback that the teacher has provided with you. Otherwise, you don't want to waste any other time because, like Dr. Julia has said, it's an extensive process. It takes time. So you want to make sure that you're utilizing your time in the best way possible. Students obviously should complete their work in a timely manner because of the fact of this being a time-consuming process. Writing takes time, reading takes time, feedback takes time. So as long as everybody's meeting those goals, we'll be in good shape. The workshop format concentrates on one craft focus per session. So on the previous, a few slides back, we saw the structure in which we will be focusing on different focuses per session. And we'll zoom in on one so that students are building these skills. In addition, we'll study exemplar models. This is going to give students an idea of things that work, techniques that have been proven to be effective, so that they can learn on how to implement that in their own writing. We'll highlight those key elements of strong writing, practice those brainstorming strategies. Students should not skip over the brainstorming process. It's a place where you can get all of your ideas down, and then we can filter through the ones that you think are the best, the ones you're most passionate about. The graphic organizers we provide are so important because of the fact that you're able to really organize your ideas, and organization is such a key point of success whenever you're writing an essay, no matter what you're writing. If it's a poem, again, memoir, critical essay, organization is going to be key. We want to emphasize the criteria of the Scholastic competition, which is creativity, originality, and an authentic voice. So the workshop format will help students really learn what their creativity strengths are, how to be original, and who their authentic writing voice is. And then we'll review the evaluation standards and the core expectations of the Scholastic submissions. The one-to-one sessions, I think, are probably the most beneficial to the writers. All of the sessions are individualized to students' needs. So you have a VSA teacher reading the drafts of your student and giving them individualized feedback. I know this past summer I spent hours reading the students' work, providing meaningful feedback, and then having really meaningful conversations afterwards. So each session, each one-to-one session that they'll be a part of in the summer is individualized to them. And I think it's probably one of the most important factors to the student's success. These are places where we'll brainstorm, we'll discuss their ideas, we'll talk about what's strong, what needs perhaps strengthening. The graphic organizer, like I said, is so important just because it's a great tool for organizing your ideas and then promoting a discussion between the teacher and the student. When students come with those graphic organizers filled out, it gives the teacher a talking point, it gives the student a talking point, and that creates the discussion rather than just one person speaking. These are also going to be the places where we'll review the drafts, we'll revise the drafts, and then any other discussion that is going to be required in order for them to reflect and plan for their revisions and future essays will also happen in these one-to-one sessions. So these sessions are probably one of the most important parts of the Scholastic program. As we said prior, there will be 8 workshops from April to October. These will take place Sundays, 7 to 9 Eastern Standard Time. There'll be a lecture style format. Students should attend all 8 workshops. We won't have makeup sessions, but the recordings of the instructional videos will be provided to students. And then on the right here, you'll see the lecture dates that have already been planned. So the program structure is that students submit 4 essays for teacher feedback. We'll work on these essays throughout the start and end. So you'll see here, May 31st, we have the first brainstorm. And then we'll be looking at 2 through 4, July 30th. And then we're going through and we're making sure that we're looking at each of these essays, dedicating a significant amount of time to each of them throughout the sessions, the one-to-one sessions. So you just want to make sure that you're meeting those deadlines and making sure that you are writing your essays so that we have something to discuss for those one-to-one sessions. VSA assigns a teacher to each student. Each student will receive 8 hours of the one-to-one support. That's in addition to the 8 workshop classes. All students are required to fully finish at least 2 essays by August 31st, which is absolutely doable, especially because of the fact that we'll have the workshops where we'll be able to discuss, as well as the one-to-one conferences. Additional essays or one-to-one sessions are available for purchase, subject to teacher availability. I can let you know that I pretty much never say no. So if you're looking for someone to help, I will be there. And the deadline to fully finish all essays is November 22nd. You want to make sure that you have things done before then, because if at any point you go back and reread something, you want to make sure you have the time to fix it. Students must sign an agreement regarding not using AI and meeting those deadlines, because like we said, time is very important and originality is important, and we don't want to have any sort of slips with AI or missing deadlines or anything like that.
Thank you, Donna.
As I said, one of the award is the portfolio scholarship, which only senior students be qualified and need 6 pieces. If you are the senior, December this year, you're welcome to join us, the senior portfolio program. and which we help for 6 essays. And also we set up 12 classes. We do have the deadline and strictly follow timetable. So if you're a senior, welcome to do it. And this year, one of our senior, of course, she's very busy for application, and she got 3 gold, 1 silver. If she does has time in summer could write 6 essays, it's a high chance for her to get winner. I encourage all the senior students and think about these options. Um, Here is the registration program. Of course, we offer first come and first serve. And this year we try to looking for the students, as Ms. Donna said, to have highly motivated students. So the discounts will be 15% and March 15. So these slides including all the topics, all the deadlines. Thank you.
I'll start off with one that was submitted ahead of time of Ms. Donna, when you're working with your students, how do you help them with identifying which genres or writing categories would be a good fit for them?
So typically, I have my students talk to me during their brain sessions, and we see which topic they are most passionate about, and then we see which category would fit that topic so that they're able to convey the message and the emotions like all of the students have been discussing. We talk about which one of those categories will best convey those things. Like Cynthia had said with the poem that she had written about, with the mythology that she did, that was a place where she packed a lot of emotion into few words. And I think that the emotion really was highlighted through the shorter aspect of the poem. So realistically, it's all about students' choice. But we have discussions that talk about the best way to convey their ideas.
Awesome, thank you. Another question is a number of parents are asking how their child can take their writing to the next level. If someone says, my child likes to read, but they're still writing, relatively simple or straightforward essays. How do they make that jump to that next level of creativity or originality?
So I think that ironically, the best way for them to find their voice is to read other people's. So being inspired by, authors, if a child likes to read, then obviously they can bring up those qualities or characteristics of things that they've read. We've already heard students talk about, loving dystopian literature and that inspiring their own writing. So reading is such a great place for students to really excel in their writing skills, but also remembering that everything can be better. We can always improve. We can always take things to new places. So I like for my students to remember that they're not stuck in one place, that we can always try on different voices and different techniques. And I think that the most important thing to do to elevate your writing is to try to be as creative as possible and take those risks, like so many of our winners have discussed with us today.
Wonderful, thank you. And to add on to that, I think as we've seen across the very broad range of topics that our student winners have discussed today, is that again, that inspiration can come from anywhere. We have so many, students who are athletes who really channel their love for their sport into beautiful, dynamic, written pieces. We have performers, we have artists, we have Girl Scouts and scientists and future doctors. And so it's really about finding a way, identifying what you are so passionate about that you want to put it on the page, that you want to express that to anyone and everyone who can read your work. Great, thank you, Ms. Donna. Any other questions from the parents or students here before we move on to our next section? All right, wonderful. Thank you so much, Ms. Donna, for your thoughts and for sharing with everyone today. And we can't wait to kick off our first Scholastic lecture with you in April. All right, have
Thank
a good night.
you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Looking forward to seeing you in April.